North Dakota businesses have struggled through the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight, KX News brings together small business owners and business experts to discuss our state's current economic status, the new stimulus package, and more in a KX News Town Hall. Survive to thrive. Here are your hosts, Nicholas Kwolek and Lauren Kalber.
Thanks for joining us tonight as we host a special KX News Town Hall, Survive to Thrive. I'm Nicholas Kwolek.
And I'm Lauren Kalber. While COVID-19 has been tough on everyone, small businesses have, and especially the hospitality industry, has taken a huge hit.
Tonight, we're joined by three guests who own, operate, and work with businesses, large and small, here in North Dakota. Brian Ritter is the president of the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber EDC. John McMartin is the president of the Minot Chamber of Commerce. Stacy Sturm owns URL Radio and Thomas and Moriarty's. And Colton Schultz owns and co-owns Laughing Sun Brewery, Craftcade, and Grand Junction Bismarck-Mandan.
First, thank you all for being here. And we're going to begin with you, Brian. We talked about the struggles that small businesses are facing. What type of calls is your office taking from business owners, and what are their needs right now?
What's so interesting has been to watch how the needs of our small businesses, particularly those in retail and restaurant hospitality, have changed with the pandemic. So right now, the most common request that we're getting is for further business assistance, but not more debt. What small businesses don't need right now is any more debt than they already have. What they need are help with operations. They need help restructuring existing debt so that when the pandemic subsides, they are in the best possible position to be successful.
Now, John, there have been many different opportunities for businesses. Those come a lot with strings. What are businesses telling you about using different programs like PPP and ERG and CARES Act funding to survive?
Well, the one thing I hear is a lot about changing in the program. You get the announcement that the program is here, and then the regulations continually evolve as you're moving forward. Sometimes you're ready to submit the application and rules have changed. It's not an easy process, but I think the businesses that go through it would say it's better than nothing. But I would echo Brian's comments that the businesses are not looking to take on more debt. They're probably above where they really want to be. And I'd be remiss because I don't think I provided you with the right title. It's Minot Area Chamber EDC. As of January 1st, we merged the two organizations.
Very good. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. And Stacy, you've been a business owner for quite some time, but what's the #1 thing you've learned in 2020 about owning a business?
You know, of versatility, adaptability, and change. Most people, when they go into business, they have like a business model. You know, like we're going to serve craft cocktails and we're going to serve charcuterie boards and this is how this is going to go. And in 2020, it was like, we're going to sell t-shirts, we're going to sell recipe books, we're going to sell to-go. All of a sudden now we're big on to-go. Everything changed in the blink of an eye. And we totally revamped our business model probably in the course of 2 days. And then 3 weeks later, we would revamp our business model again in the course of a day. And then now 9 months, 10 months later, we're still revamping our business model because we don't know what the future holds. So it's constant, you know, looking what's going to be going on with the pandemic, looking what's going on with I'd say the atmosphere in Bismarck and Mandan, with people wanting to go out, not wanting to go out, wanting takeout, still not wanting takeout. Like it's every day, it's always something. And so honestly, I think the hardest part about 2020 has just been the constant changing and adaptability. It's almost exhausting to change your business every couple months depending on what's going on.
Now, on that note, Colton, much of COVID has become politically charged. How have you attempted to balance political opinions by your staff while also trying to stay safe and open?
I think the biggest thing is amongst all 4 brands, we pre-COVID had about 68 employees. So a lot of the different cultures and different opinions come from all these businesses. So I think the biggest thing that our leadership team had to do is really listen and then also educate. One of my business partners, James, was on the Chamber COVID task force representing the hospitality industry. So being plugged in and really trying to understand what the latest news and everything is. Because again, like Stacy said, this stuff changes constantly, day by day. So we really focused on trying to understand and then educate our staff, and then also listen to their point of view. You know, why are we doing things this way? And you know, there was a lot of grants and a lot of opportunities to get some funding from the state and government, and part of our responsibility was to follow the North Dakota Restart Guidelines. So again, trying to implement that. You know, my job as a business owner and a restaurant owner is to serve the community and provide a safe and fun atmosphere that they can come and enjoy themselves. So we really have to make sure that we can provide that, and that's also getting our staff to buy in and lead by example as well. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Stacy, has local and state government done enough for restaurant and bar owners to overcome some of these struggles? Tough one. Putting you on the spot.
You know, I do have to say, I know people that own bars and restaurants in other states, and compared to other states, we're actually doing very well. And that's not just being diplomatic. I feel like there has been more assistance that has been provided, and more guidance that has been provided to us here as business owners in North Dakota than a lot of our friends have had in New York or California or even Minnesota or other states. And the funding that has come through has been, it's been very helpful, and it's often come at very critical times. But with still the uncertainty of what's to come the next year, maybe even 2 years, there is going to need to be more, and there's going to have to be more done. I still know people that are months away from possibly closing, you know, here in the Bismarck-Mandan area, and it breaks my heart knowing that this isn't going to end anytime soon. And as a business owner, it's hard knowing that your business climate, it's not going to change, and it's totally out of your control. Everything that's going on is totally out of your control, and you just have to do the best you can. And so the state is going to have to, I think they're also going to have to be versatile, and they're going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to help us along the way. And this could be long-term, like a year from now, 2 years from now. So I'm just hoping that the state is looking at that and not just these short-term fixes.
Okay, well, thank you all. Very interesting dialogue. We're going to have more still ahead in this town hall, including what you can do at home to help businesses help keep their doors open. That's next.
How do you open tough jar lids? Do you try this one? Or this one? Or how about this one?
Honey?
This is the future. Shouldn't there be a robot for this by now? There is. Introducing RoboTwist, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids. Just set it down, press the button, and watch it work. First, the RoboStrong vise locks down tight. Then the powerful twisting action unscrews the lid. RoboTwist is yours for the special introductory price of just $19.99. That's right, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids. All for just $19.99. Whether the jar is big or small, RoboTwist can open them all. Supplies are limited, so don't delay. Here's how to get yours today.
Call 1-800-348-0353. That's 1-800-348-0353, or order online at buyrobotwist.com.
Life never stops asking, what to do now? What to do next? So what do? Watch life go by and say, sorry, no can do. No, that's a big not to do. You do the smart thing and go to North Dakota's first and only Polytechnic, where hands-on learning leads to higher wage earning. To do what makes you better, do what takes you further. To learn to do what you were meant to do. Bismarck State College. Let's do this.
Your news every hour in primetime is on News Nation on WGN America. News Nation reported on states around the country preparing for civil unrest.
I think when people can see that you're prepared, it acts as a deterrent.
And asked what's next following Donald Trump's historic second impeachment.
The pardon power is very broad.
News Nation covers your nation every night starting at 8, 7 Central on WGN America. Go to newsnationnow.com to find WGN America on your cable or satellite provider.
Welcome back.
We're going to start with Brian. What do people at home need to do and change in their spending habits to prop up our community businesses?
I think what's needed most in our communities, whether it's in Bismarck, Mandan, and some Minot, is really for us to all take ownership of the situation. we as community members, we as supporters of small businesses need to make a conscious effort to get out and support those businesses, to patronize them. You heard Stacy earlier in the segment talk about how business models have changed. There are now ways that we as consumers can support local businesses than we could ever have in the past. Whether that's curbside, whether that's food delivery, whether that is personalized shopping experiences. There are ways that our small businesses have innovated over the course of the pandemic that now give us more options than we ever had before in order to help patronize them. So I think what needs to happen is a mindset shift to what can I do for my businesses? What can I do for the sponsor of my softball team? What can I do for my neighbor? I think if we do that, I think if we band together and make that happen, then I think our outlook is much better.
And I would add that one of our committees came up with a Maximize Minot campaign geared at hiring here, buying here, and investing here. And we've gone out and put out on social media things like Takeout Tuesday and other themes for each day of the week, and push that out on social media, reminding people that if they want that local business to be here when they need them, they need to spend dollars today, tomorrow, and the next day.
And even a simple like on Facebook, you know, and just following our page. If you have eaten or dined at a restaurant before and you do like our product or service, you know, we'd appreciate a like and a follow, because that just helps the algorithms and everything, and it helps us reach more people. And then that way, when we can offer these different changes in our business model and, you know, different products, promotions, people will see that.
Well, and two, when this first started, I think everybody knew the need was still there. They knew that they needed to support these small businesses because we were going to be going through a tough time. And I'd say honestly, what I saw for the first 3 or 4 months was incredible. It was beyond what I could have expected from the community. So supportive, but then everybody got fat and broke, and they didn't want to necessarily do takeout anymore. They're getting tired, and they thought this was going to be a short-term thing, like, we're going to get you through this while you guys are shut down, and they didn't realize this was going to be a year later, that we were still going to be going on this. And I think people are kind of, and they're like, well, you guys are getting funding now, we're kind of done, right? You don't need us anymore, but we still do. We need you to stay fat and broke so that we can continue to operate and be here for the long haul.
Well, speaking of help, John, a new administration is now in office. What are you hearing about possible new economic stimulus that could help business?
Well, I know to start with, the new president is talking about adding an individual combination, and then also talk about looking at something for businesses, but I don't think they've well defined that yet. I think businesses in North Dakota perhaps will have a wait and see attitude about what's going to happen, because I think today one of the executive orders he was going to sign was going to shut down the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. If that happens and DAPL happens, it's going to significantly affect the economy far more in North Dakota, or at least western North Dakota, than just the pandemic.
Stacy, some people watching may see some of these. You alluded to getting all this help and so on and so forth. They may see some of these packages and assume businesses are getting kickbacks from the government. What's it really like as a business owner that is receiving those funds?
You know, I think people thought that the government's just kind of throwing money at us, and it's really hard. I was talking on the break with the panel here, and it's not easy to receive the money. You know, there's paperwork and more paperwork, and then you have forgiveness paperwork, and then you have forgiveness of the forgiveness paperwork. Like, it's a never-ending string, and you're showing your revenues, you're showing your payroll, you're showing your, it's a lot. And people think, well, you just got $25,000, but they don't understand, like, that's a month, and not even a month for a lot of people. When businesses are down like 60 to 70%, a lot of these bigger restaurants, I'm sure Colton could probably speak on, like, we're lucky at the bar, we only have 3 employees. So we've operated very lean, and we don't have as much, but there's some restaurants I know around here, their payroll for 1 month is $25,000, and they're already down 60 to 70% as far as business goes. So that's just really a drop in the bucket to a lot of places. So it's not like we're having oodles and oodles of money, and a lot of businesses aren't qualifying. There's a lot of businesses that don't have that revenue to show pre-COVID because they maybe just opened up in September, October, November, so they don't really have that basis to file a lot of the paperwork. There's a restaurant that I was talking to in Mandan. They opened up in, was it September? And then everybody got shut down in March. Well, what revenue do they really have to show, because they're a new business, and so they really don't qualify for anything, and they're not going to qualify for the second round either of PPP because it's the same qualifications as the first round. So, and a lot of small businesses, your boutiques, like my radio station, your small mom and pop candy store, we didn't qualify for any of that funding. So I don't think there's this prolific amount of money that's gone into these businesses that people think.
Colton, before the pandemic, we probably took a lot for granted. What has changed for you in that regard?
Definitely a lot for granted. I think one of the biggest things is just our ability to connect with our staff outside and doing events. You know, we usually do a all-brand Christmas party. That's been put on hold. It's really nice to be able to get out with your team and have some fun and meet their significant others and family and everything, and that's just one of those things that's kind of gone away. And I think another thing that we've taken for granted is just some of the adversity we had pre-COVID. I can't wait to deal with those problems compared to what we've dealt with this past year. And I feel like we're always just talking about COVID, you know, and how we're going to move forward and what our plan is with that. And it just, you know, like Stacy said, it just gets exhausting. And again, it's one of those things that we take very seriously, and it's something especially our leadership team talks about all the time. And we're really focused on keeping all of our jobs. Right now, we have pretty much everybody employed except 2 people on unemployment. And, you know, our restaurants are some of those restaurants that have very high payroll numbers per month. So it's just, it's one of those things that we're just constantly juggling, and this is something I never would have expected to deal with. So,
Brian, we are in 2021 right now, a new year. What's the outlook like for North Dakota businesses?
I think if we take a look at Bismarck Mandan specifically and we look at 2021, there's a lot to be optimistic about. I think one of the beauties of Bismarck Mandan's economy, and one of the reasons that we've continued to grow, and we have continued to grow, because if you look at, for example, new home construction was up nearly 19% last year. The number of existing home sales, number of existing homes being sold was up about 17%. Our school enrollments are increasing as well. So there's a lot of cause for optimism. If you couple all those indicators with the fact that Bismarck Mandan's economy is naturally structured like a pyramid, at the base of that pyramid there are really 4 industries: education, energy, healthcare, and government. Should one of those industry segments fall off or have hard times, fortunately we've got 3 or 2 others that will prop up the rest of the economy. So again, the long-term prospects, the short-term prospects, I think are very, very good for our community and our economy.
Thank you. And we'll be right back in just a few minutes with more from our guests, including competing with Amazon and online shopping.
At Menards, we have what you need to finish your painting projects. Dutch Boy DuraClean Interior Paint is a paint and primer in one with a beautiful look that's washable, scrubbable, and stain resistant. Interior flat is just $19.99 a gallon. Plus, we offer free custom color matching and tinting to create over 2,000 color options. Give your home a fresh look and save big money with Dutch Boy Paint from Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Before you turn in for the night, watch Becky Farr and Chief Meteorologist Tom Schrader on KX News at 9 on the Dakotas CW. Get us over the air, on satellite, or your cable TV provider. For all the day's news that matters most and a forecast to prepare you for what's ahead, wrap up your day with KX News at 9 on the Dakotas CW.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt. There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Careful, your regular old can opener leaves razor-sharp edges.
Ouch!
You need the new Safety Can Express. Now you can pop the top off and leave perfectly smooth edges on the lid and the can. Other openers use blades to cut through the lid, leaving razor-sharp edges. Safety Can Express actually unseals the lid from the side, leaving smooth, safe edges. Safety Can works on broken pop-top cans, dented cans, big heavy cans, small odd-shaped cans too. No more sharp steel when Safety Can breaks the seal. Call and get the new Safety Can Express for just $29.99. But wait, call now and you can double your order. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship it to you fast and free. This offer is not available on Amazon. Call now.
Call 1-800-990-5312 or visit safetycanexpress.com. So call 1-800-990-5312 now.
Welcome back.
And John, we are going to begin with you, and I like this question, but even before the pandemic, the rise in Amazon shopping and all other online shopping was a threat to our local businesses. But then COVID-19 came, people found even more reason to shop online and to stay home and do it. So what do you hear from local retailers, and how are they managing to compete with big box and big Amazon?
I think big Amazon is perhaps a better one to talk about, because big box stores hire local people and they generate sales locally that goes back into the tax base. So we can't totally pick on big box stores. But Amazon, unfortunately, is not going to go away. And small businesses that are going to thrive are beginning to learn, thanks to COVID, perhaps ways to deal with them. You know, the restaurants that hadn't done takeout started doing takeout and found ways to get curbside service there. We've got some caterers that, instead of encouraging people to buy whatever the meal is you order in a box, we've got caterers that are now making meals in a box and selling them locally. Stores that had websites are starting to advertise them far more, and in some cases, one of the bridal shops, you can go online and completely look at everything that's in the store in terms of styles before you get there. And you need to have an appointment, so you make the appointment and you know exactly what you want to look at, and you don't have to spend hours there. I would also comment that for the restaurants and bars in Minot, there's been a unique situation as well because of the air base. Department of Defense has put restrictions on what the commanders can allow their folks to do. And in the case of Minot, we provide a strategic deterrent to adversaries. And some of the squadrons are small enough that if COVID ran through those squadrons, there wouldn't be people there to perform their duties. And as such, they can get takeout from a restaurant, but they can't go in and eat, even though the rest of us can, and they are not allowed in bars yet. And so part of the population base that the restaurants and bar owners have learned to count on isn't even able to take advantage of the services in Minot.
Colton, speaking of local, we've heard quite a few employers talk about the difficulty of hiring during the pandemic. A lot of ups and downs with layoffs, but then there's also the need to hire. So what have your businesses seen?
It's definitely been a roller coaster. I would say from the first wave of, I mean, one of the worst days of my life was when we laid off 43 people when we first had to close, out of probably over 70. And again, our sales just fell off a cliff, and we were just trying to survive. Again, implementing technology, doing whatever we can, pivoting our business models. And then once we were able to open back up and we did see some more revenue coming in, we did start to bring all of our employees back. Now here's the thing, is some of them chose not to come back because there was great unemployment benefits.
Yes.
And then some people did choose to come back. Now here's the silver lining with that. We really found who our core group of people were that we could really rely on. So then what happened was that we put more on their plate, and it almost kind of brought us together more of a family. And now we've got the core of aces, and we're all just grinding together and getting better. And then with that being said, we were able to just, again, hire some more people from the core group of employees, friends, and family, and we kind of just had to rebuild. And it did take some time. And yeah, again, it's just some adversity that we had to overcome, and we were able to get fully staffed, and it wasn't something that was a make or break situation, but definitely from frustrating moments for sure.
Brian, the Federal Reserve Bank in Minneapolis, which covers North Dakota, says North Dakota saw businesses opening from June of 2020 to October of 2020 above the pace of that same time period in 2019. What does that say to you?
I think it's really history repeating itself. If we look back, going all the way back to the Great Depression and recessions that we've experienced since then, Americans have always found opportunity in times of adversity. So entrepreneurs especially, looking at a downtime like this, because we have seen such innovation, we have seen such change. If someone has an idea for a better way to implement food delivery, if someone has an improvement upon Food Dudes or Grubhub, well, what better time to start that business than right now? So I don't think we should be all that surprised that we see innovation and that we see entrepreneurs taking advantage of it, but we should at least take it as a sign of optimism. We should be encouraged by that, and then we as consumers should do all that we can to support them.
We've got less than 2 minutes, and there's 4 of you, so we want you to each answer this last question. If all of you could see one thing change for small business in the coming months, what would it be? Colton?
I would say just the ability to streamline some of these documents for funding and just being able to kind of have some concrete answers that we could focus on and implement and make happen.
As a small state, accelerate the inoculation, the shots with the COVID vaccine, so that we can get the businesses back and open.
With me, I would really encourage consumer confidence. I know it's really comfy for people to sit at home and you feel safe and nice in your home, but I just really encourage people to go out there and get that confidence back. The bars and restaurants, I think have gotten kind of a bad rap, but we're doing everything we can to try to make it a safe experience for everybody to get back out and start interacting with each other again, and it's good for your mental health.
I think the single biggest thing that we can do as consumers or small business owners is to remain vigilant. The more that we do to remain vigilant, whether it's wearing masks, whether it's socially distancing, all those things combined will help bring the positivity rate down, number of cases down, and hopefully then, as Stacy said, instill more consumer confidence.
And what Stacy said, this is the most interaction with people that I don't see every day that I've had in a long time.
Thank you all so very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for this town hall event, and thank you for our panelists tonight. Have a great evening.